G'day guys, back again. Thought I might do just a little short video on how to decode a key and read by eye and file accordingly in pretty rapid, reasonably rapid time, without going to to a code machine and farting around and setting it up. This is only going to be applicable to probably Australian applications anyway. This is an L, just a little multi bolt. It's on the LF43R profile, which is pretty common in Australia. Usually on the Whitco brand. The window winders, patio bolts, vent locks, multi bolts, push locks, etc. They all run the same setup with the wafer sizes and the way you read them. The hint straight away, I'll point something out, which is there's probably an accidental thing from the manufacturer that helps you out straight away. You can see on this, sorry I can't focus in on this camera. There's a little section in the middle, it's like this concave part. And if you imagine the outside of that concave area, where it starts on the outside here, see that imaginary, like a circle? If you follow that circle around to where the wafers are, generally, more times than not, probably 90% of the time, you can read your first cut off in relation to the indent, the outside of that indent. So if you've, it's pretty hard to really explain, but try to get some light. Yeah, you can see the first wafer there. If you imagine that outside there, continuing that line around in a circle, if your first wafer lines up with that mark, then it's a number 1 cut. I'll explain on a bit of paper in a minute. If it's just below that imaginary circle, or the here, just below, it'd be a number 2 cut, and if it's just a smidge lower again, it's a 3 cut, and the deepest cut from a 4, which you'll know every time, that first, the middle warding there on the right hand side where I'm pointing, if that wafer is in its relaxed position but level with that warding, that's the number 4 cut. So I've done a little diagram. That's my eyeball, by the way. That's the eyebrows, and that's the nose. And yeah, if you had a nose like that, I'd be going seeing a plastic surgeon, I think. Anyway, yeah, when you do read them, read them directly from, obviously from your eyesight. If you start reading them down or below, you're going to get different, you're not going to get true readings. So yeah, this is obviously, it's a rough gate track diagram, but yeah, that imaginary line I was talking about, which is here, around here, yeah, if that wafer, the bottom of the wafer, when it's in the relaxed position, is level, it's a number 1 cut. Number 4 cut, the deepest, if it's in that position with that warding, it's a 4, so it's just symmetrical. So number 2 is going to be 1/3 of that space from 1, and number 3 is going to be 1/3 of the, or 33% of the space from the bottom one. Yeah, so this only applies to the LF43R. But what I found though, most cam locks, they have that little indentation there, or little concave part. That's a factory process, obviously. That's to make the key easier to insert, as opposed to having a dead flat surface where there's no finite. You've got to find the finite position to get the key in, as opposed to having the there's a key blank, putting the key in it and hitting the the concave part and position the key for you. That's what that little indent's for, just key positioning. But I'm not sure, I don't think so, but I've accidentally given you a guide to the first cut by virtue of that concave part in the centre. So yeah, most cam locks, if they've got that concave part in the middle, you can get your first cut or datum point from that, reading the wafer in relation to where it sits between that outer circle, the imaginary circle, and the centre warding. That's yeah, I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so if you imagine that, and I'll go to the lock. Yeah, just get an old broken pick and put it on a bit of an angle, just as a lift up tool, basically. Yeah, I'm not really set up for this type of really fine work, but anyway, yeah, to me that will be a number 3 cut. Number 1, that's, yeah, I've got to get it relatively straight with the camera, lens of the camera, to give you a true, see, that's too much because I'm seeing the next wafer, so yeah, jeez. Anyway, that's the first wafer's pretty much, I would say, is number 3. So if you know the first cut, it's just a matter of going through the stack. Okay, the second one is probably just below that imaginary circle, so I'll go number 2. The third cut is pretty much the same as the first cut, so we'll go 3 there, so it's 3, 2, 3, and that's the third cut. That's looking at the fourth cut, which is pretty much in a number 3 spot. So yeah, so I'd go, don't worry about the fifth cut. You don't need to worry about that, because that's just a matter of process of elimination. So we're going to go 3, 2, 3, 3. Cut that with a file, and just obviously go through the cuts on the last spacing till you get the key to operate. So I'll put this aside. Okay, that's the impressioning file. It's not a it's bloody expensive too. That's what they're designed for, impressioning files. It's a rat's tail Swiss, 6-inch from the start of the file to the tip. Hence the rat tail. It does progressively get thinner and thinner. Yeah, but that, if you're going to impression anything, use a proper impressioning file, Swiss tail, with the right grade. Otherwise, it's too rough, and you get too many conflicting marks to read. Anyway, that's the key blank. I'm just going to mark these off by sight. Okay, I've made 5 marks here, so I know. So number 1 was number 2 cut. So, which is about that much. Number 1 cut was a 3. I'm sorry. So, I can lose my train of thought here. We'll go with that with some number 3 for now. Number 2 was number 2 spot was a number 2 cut. So, which is, yep, it's about, bloody camera. Yeah, there you go. Number 3 was a 3. Number spacing 3 is a 3 cut. So, and so was 4. So I sort of cut them a bit at a time to save a bit of time. Okay, I would normally do this bloody quicker on in the work fan bench. So that's roughly the 3233. So I'll take that lock out and okay, that seems pretty good. So had the 5th cut, which I didn't worry about because of the elimination process. There's a point I won't have to worry about that because it's a it's either probably a 1 anyway. So yeah, so that's a working key. That was 3 2 3 3 and 1. Pretty simple. Yeah, that theory applies to any type of wafer lock on the LW43R. Yeah, that'll apply to a Whitco window winder. Same broach, obviously. Yeah, vent locks, multi bolts, push locks, mini bolts, patio bolts. Yeah, so that's how it works. So they're pretty simple to decay by eye and file, as long as you know your first cut, which you can do by, as I said before, relative to that imaginary line on the outside of the that little concave in the centre. So if it lines up, like I said, with that perfectly, it's a 1. Just below is a 2, 3 just below that again, and 4 would be pretty much central with the highest winding on the right hand side. That's probably only, that key's only applicable to Australian applications anyway, Whitco. But that principle pretty much is a process you can do on most wafer locks. If you've got that, as you don't, the little concave part there, which is, like I said before, that's for key. Makes the key, so makes it easier to insert the key, because when the key gets to that part, it falls into that area anyway, as opposed to having a flat surface where you've got to try to fiddle and find it. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, you can do it on most cam locks, American, as long as you know the how many cuts you have, and you've got a key blank and a file. I don't see a problem with it, actually. So yeah, you never know, anyone in Australia, if you lost your key to your window winder, just go, if it's a Whitco of course, just get yourself a blank at a 43R and give it a go. Just need a file, pressing file, and a key blank. It helps with the eye scope as well, which I use, but for the sake of, I can't use it with the camera, it's just not going to work. But yeah, hope you find that of interest or of benefit to some degree. Before I go too, I made a comment with Daz Evers 106 challenge lock. At the end of the video, I made a comment about bitch peaking. I think 1 or 2 people might have got what I said, didn't understand, or took it out of context or whatever. I didn't trust me, I didn't bitch peak Daz's lock. That was single peaked, and that was hard work. Well, for me it was anyway. It was that mummified key. What I was talking about when I was talking bitch peak, and I was talking about that cheap shitty little cable lock which took me probably 4 minutes to get open. Yeah, I was talking about the bitch picking to get that cheap cable, Chinese cable open. At the end, that was bitch picking, because you couldn't single pick it. Not with standard picks and a standard wrench, there's no room. So basically I bitch picked that. But that, let me reiterate that I wasn't talking about Desert Lock. That was about that cheap Chinese cable, bike cable. Yeah, so yeah, talking about Dazzler's lock. Oh, there's the key there. I'll show you the bitting. No, What I did